here you have the 95% pick rate. China comes into play, but there's also a lot of other events coming into play. The up and downs, the continentals that were already like ongoing and in some way with teams in there, and then also the open qualifiers as well. So there's a lot of stuff with the circuit happening. But France is this pick here from Seoul, and then we have USA. So those are the first 3 maps, and then Brazil and Greece.
Well, we're going with the standard Winter Season Elite Cup map order, as, you got all 5 maps on the Winter campaign in sync question order, exactly the way that they were played early on in the year. China, then France, then USA, then Brazil, and Greece. It feels like we're reliving the Elite Cup Winter Season again, as we're going to be getting started with our match in just a few minutes. And I hate to be a bit harsh on that, but Seoul might be handed yet another 3-0 going into their season. I know this feels BM to say that, but going with their form, it's always a bit of a tough ask to go against, well, not the number 1 team, but the potential number 2 team of the Division 1 Split 1 standings.
And Geek, they looked so good as well in the previous match. And I mean, one side note as well is that Neil is not playing. It is Spark substituting for Neil. So we have Wizzy and Spark playing for the likes of S8UL Esports, and then Masa and Granadi, of course, playing for Big. So here we go. We start things off on China, and it could be, like, I hope it's not over within 12 rounds on this match, but I think this could happen, because if we take a look onto the results from Spark in the Elite Cup, I think he made it into Division 1 quite a lot, but also on Germany, I think he got 65th this weekend.
Yeah. And that was a very unfortunate one to call out live, because the ranking that we had on screen showed Spark in the field, but it was not quite updated. And a few seconds later, when we refreshed, he got bumped out of the field by just a few hundredths of a second. A real heartbreak, not only for him, but also, I'm assuming, for all of the Seoul fans that just saw one of their own being essentially, you know, when you try to go into a nightclub and you've got the security guard there that says nope, and that's exactly what happened there for Spark, which always kind of sucks to see, as we're going to be going into the game, which starts in 22 seconds time on China.
Yeah, I just had a funny story in mind when it was a friend's birthday and he didn't get into the club because he was too drunk. But that's another story. But yeah, I mean, that's how Spark probably felt, somewhat you have to make the cutoff. And at this point, Spark was my drunk friend and he didn't make it into the club. So here we go. We start off with a match, Big versus S8UL. Big can still get second place, and then S8UL, I mean, they yet to find their first win, and they are already demoted into Division 2.
They're looking to just try to go on a high, as we see both Wizzy and Spark going for the safe way, and Granadi with a very, very slow exit from the box slide will thus drop down to 4th. Now, key point to note here is that Spark, this is his first time playing China on a match. It has not been reported in ECM, at least, that he has played this map before, and he currently takes advantage of a bit of attrition on the part of Granadi and of Masa, who clipped the gate before checkpoint 4, right before the ice part, and that means that the veteran player from Big is completely removed from his teammate, who now has to take a lot of the work on to try and get a point on the board.
But that's definitely not what I was expecting here, Geek. Spark and Wizzy on first and second due to 2 individual mistakes from Granadi and Masa. They're probably smiling it away, but it shouldn't happen again, else this can be dangerous. But this would be a great start into the match. And you rightfully said it, Spark hasn't played the Elite Cup. Maybe he has tried to qualify, but he didn't make it into Division 1 at all. And wow, look at the ending from Granadi. Like, this is illegal. Like, how did Granadi get first position?
Talk about putting the dagger through the heart as well, with a 3-millisecond gap at the end. Just look at the top left of the screen, plus 0.003, a 0.13 to a losing 0.016. Ouch. As we're going to go into round number 2, it's not so much that when I was referring to Spark being this first time playing China, this is mainly in the Overdrive circuit. He might have tried to qualify, of course, for the Elite Cup, but in Overdrive, this is very much a first time playing this, and even though he might have felt a little bit of wings kind of sprout from his shoulders, right now he will be going back down to earth as he sees the 2 big players just scampering off into the distance.
Yeah, I can really feel that, from a player perspective. Maybe you don't have any pressure in, you have a good round, you're like, yeah, something is possible in this match, and then Suck, Granadi getting first position, pulls on some pang on you at the end, sniping your teammate by 0.003 of a second. So absolutely incredible ending. And now Granadi and Massa going hand in hand into the identity here, as Spark and Wizzy are nowhere to be seen. They are 0.7 away, as Spark definitely doesn't perform bad here. I mean, a 105.6 is a good time on this map as a PB. And also here, he will not get a bad time, as you can see. It will be a 106 for him. Even though it's a 106 mid, but those are good times in Division 2 here.
Yeah, those are going to be good times, of course, for him, as he's still very much getting to grips with the map in situ in match conditions. Because yeah, as we said, this is very much his first time playing this. He continues to try and find his bearings on how to approach the rounds as they go, how to go safely through there, how to play tandem with his teammate, which he now does so by going both around the outside for the safer line. And Spark, unfortunately, will be also learning that he can very easily fall foul of the wall before the drop down into checkpoint number 3. And with that, the Indian driver will leave his British teammate all on his own to try and get a point home, but it looks to be a bit of a tough proposition as Massa and Granadi are just tandeming this together.
Yeah, but still, what a development from Spark as a player, like from India. You know, a region that was like not really, I wouldn't say neglected in that way. They have a lot of competitions, but really a player that has been improving alongside with Kuda as a teammate, and now makes a Division 1 debut against Massa and Granadi, which is very good. So a lot of experience is being gained by Spark. Of course, it's not really working out too well for him, and it's too bad that it's also the last match of the season in this group stage kind of format. And you then also play against Massa and Granadi, who just look so strong, and it will be another ace. It's 7-1. Hopefully they can find another point though, and we go into round number 5.
Yeah, and just to put the period on Spark, Seoul Esports really have made themselves a mission to increase Indian representation in esports, as we did see Granadi not get the slide before the first turn. Spark, that is a great home for him to be assigned to Seoul Esports. As I said, their mission statement is to increase Indian representation in esports, and a guy like Spark fits the bill. A runner-up in the 2023 Asia Oceania Trackmania Championship, runner-up to Min, as a matter of fact. Mutta in that edition came home in 4th. J-Swag finished ahead of him. Just a wild edition back then. But yeah, Spark, of course, as you mentioned, who played with Kuda Jinkak in the 2023 World Tour as part of Team Vobi and then Team Antec Esports, and a two-time winner of the APAC Regionals back in Stage 1 along with Kuda Jinkak. So he is very much looking to be at the sharper end of the Asia-Pacific scene and looking to make some more moves internationally, and there will be growing pains like we're experiencing here with Seoul versus Big here on Overdrive, but those growing pains are of course going to be key to take learnings from in order to better grow as a player, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be relishing every single one of the matches that he gets to play against incredible talent like Massa and Granadi, who take the map win, or the round victory, sorry. Not the map win just yet, they did not get the ace, as yeah, we did have a bit of a blunder from Granadi, it seemed like, but 9-2 for Big, who just continued to kind of like progress through the rounds, and as I said, Spark just looking to keep on learning, always be learning. That's the main mantra there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, just getting one more point on here is definitely very nice. And you're mentioning fostering Indian players. Keep in mind that Neil is also half Indian. So that is also something to consider here. He's United States and India, and he has that in his nationality at Liquipedia. So like fostering Indian talents, that's just a perfect fit for Seoul Esports there, with Wizzy as well, of course, in there, who is, from what I can tell, not Indian.
Yeah, well, to be fair, like, whenever Godlike arrived, for instance, when Stutz and Lingo were signed, it was especially funny seeing how Godlike adopted Stutz and made them one of their own. Like, if you weren't with us on the League Cup, like, it was really rowdy. Just to, if you want to have a good laugh, make sure to watch the chat of the VOD. It was a bit much, but
so good,
it was good fun. In the meantime,
it needs moderation.
Meantime, it's Big who are having a lot of fun. 12-2, they are taking their own map pick on that scoreline with a 10-point lead over Seoul. And with that, we will be going on to the next chronologically canon map, which is going to be France, the first of 2 Seoul picks.
Yeah, now we have two soul picks coming into play, and the first one being France. So this is map number 2 here. But what I'm really happy about is that we have not seen 4 rounds. It has been 5 rounds, so that's cool to see. Maybe Big also knows that they maybe can chill a bit more, but of course you should not be too comfortable. Now going on to the picks from Seoul Esports, of course. I think Spark and Wizzy are definitely prepared on this map, and let's take a look into the stats here as well on this particular map. Shall we? Because this one could be interesting. Of course, we know how Big plays on this one, but Wizzy, E7 as a best time. He has a 107.201, so that is a great time. The median, however, is just a bit lacking here with a 108.053 geek.
Yeah, a .053 median, kind of off the pace. He has a 33% win rate. Of the 39 rounds that were played on this map by Wizzy, 13 of them have been won, and does not have any DNS to his name, although he does have a fair bit of last places to his name as well. 7 round last places, or P4s, as we often refer to them in Spark. Still very much continuing to be in the learning process of trying to build up his pace. Right now in match, his best time that he could muster, a 108.183. So he's going to have to lean a little bit heavily on his teammate, but as we've seen on fronts before, there are plenty of places, at least 3, where you can get caught out big time if you're not careful, if you're a little bit too complacent, and thus Spark could stand to benefit if Massa or Granari put a foot in the wrong spot.
Yeah, but maybe Massa and Ganai just play the safe cards here on this particular map. We have seen a very hectic France map that they played against All Gamers Global. Make sure to rewatch this match. It was absolutely incredible. If you haven't seen it, it went all the way down to map number 5. And I'm not going to say more than that, but it was just an amazing match. But now Granadi and Massa with a good line there. But look at the speed from Wizzy. They're swarming into first position.
Yeah, he pulled a great no slide on the way into checkpoint number 4, canceled the steering at just the right nick of time, and that allowed him to propel himself into the lead. He will not retain the lead after the jumps because, as you can see, he kind of bobbled on the landing after the second jump, and thus Granadi and Massa will be inheriting first and second place in tandem, separated by less than a tenth of a second as we go on to the half-pipes. They cannot afford to just go a little bit higher and go a bit safer here. They don't really have to push it for all they're worth, although Massa looks to be on a pretty solid identity crossing, all things considered. A bit of a clip from Granadi on the other side, but it will not change the status quo. It will be Massa winning the round with a .487, a decent time to kick things off. 3/10 ahead of his teammate. 3-0 at the end of round number 1.
Yeah, great identity there from Massa, but it looked so controlled also in the match versus All Gamers Global beforehand. Very, very nice, and Big starting off things with an ace. Also different start line there from Massa and Granadi at the jump there. Just trying to get a bit more speed, a bit more direct approach on there, and they are finding themselves in the lead. But let's take a look onto Spark here in this round. Maybe not, because he crashed, and it has only left us with Wizzy here in this one, but his noseslide was so well done in the previous round. This time he doesn't get it all so well, and Massa and Granadi setting themselves up nicely for another, at least, victory situation if one player crashes here or having to readjust, which was Granadi at this point. So Granadi demoted to P3, and it is Massa in the lead, but doesn't get a good landing there.
Yeah, and Wizzy getting revenge actually from round number 1, where he had the slow landing into checkpoint number 8. And yeah, Granadi kind of bobbling, not really crashing, but bobbling and being a bit sideways, scrubbing up a bit too much speed, which allowed Wizzy to have a comeback attempt whatsoever on the cards. And right now the Englishman does get a clip before the final transfer. Will Massa be able to take advantage of that? Can Granadi make it a two-way fight? No! Wizzy, he made himself a little bit of a scare there, but will be coming away with 1 point on the board for Team Seoul. And yeah, Wizzy tried to go for the nose slide, but didn't execute it properly. He was setting himself a little bit shallow, and when he canceled, he knew that he was on the verge of clipping on the inside, so he was forced to get back in a slide, which kind of canceled all the speed advantage that you can get from a successful no slide.
You know what that really reminds me of? Like being on a water slide and you just know that someone is behind you and he's faster than you. Wizzy just got away with that one, like by just a couple of hundredths of a second. And that's what the same feeling is when you just exit the water pool at the end and then there's someone just boom, like going into the pool with 100 kilometers per hour, which is absolutely incredible. Maybe someone knows what I'm talking about. That was always my biggest fear when I went into the swimming a bath in that regard. But look at this round here from Seoul Esports. Wizzy and Spark are battling with Granadi and Massa here, and that is a very good round here to focus on. Let's go into the ending, because Granadi and Massa had the ending very, very nice beforehand, and again, they get a very good approach, and I think, Geek, we're gonna see an ace here from Big again, but no, Massa is clipping.
Watching Massa, and a great final transfer from Wizzy. He said, no, we're getting a second punt on the board, come hell or high water. Just take a look at that again as we see the scare from Wizzy a bit earlier on. But yeah, Wizzy with a great identity this time around will be able to deny the advantage of points going the way of Big, as Spark has a really solid outing up until checkpoint number 8, right after the landing into the second jumps in the dirt. This is where he lost a little bit of momentum, but that is okay. This is continuing to build on the knowledge base that he has on this map, continuing to play for all its worth, continuing to learn the process of competing against a very talented international players, as we do see Wizzy once again pulling off a good nose slide. Not quite as impressive as in the previous round, where he felt like, I'm gonna slide another game in Burnout 3 takedown, where you get a boost refill when you get a takedown and you press boost and you just blow your way past the rest of the field. That's what it felt like in the previous round, and right now Wizzy looking to try and pull the same thing.
Yeah, great line there from Wizzy, but on the flip side, his teammate flipped onto the roof, having to respawn, but Wizzy, just the man of this map here so far, playing very nicely, but Granadi and Massa again are behind. Same situation as in round number 2. Will it be enough for Wizzy to stay ahead? Massa with a great line there, coming closer, but Wizzy will get that first position, and it will be another draw here, and that is a great time as well, a .395, but for that he needs to rely on his teammate Spark, which will be hard, because yeah, I mean, he had the pace in the round beforehand, but here he has made that mistake. It will be hard for Spark and Wizzy to win this map, but it's definitely a great showing.
Yeah, it's definitely a great showing. Right now, Wizzy very much carrying the backpack, which continues to get a little bit heavier and heavier as rounds go by. Of course, he cannot fault Spark, who's just trying his darn best to try and hold the pace, and he will get that job a lot easier this time, because it seems as though both of the big players, well, maybe not Granadi, although we see Wizzy with a very significant slowdown, so it's all down to Spark. But Massa went over center on the way into checkpoint number 2 over the Sausage Road, so that is going to be giving a little bit of a breathing room for Seoul, who might just be getting a victory on the road there.
Yeah, this could be the victory here, and this could definitely, like Seoul at this point, they know that this is a tough match. It will be almost impossible to win a map against Big, against a strong-looking Big, but winning a round is definitely boosting the momentum, and I mean, that's not a bad scoreline. It would be 7-5 then, if Spark can stay ahead of Granadi here in this particular round. This is a good identity though from Spark, but jumping too low there. Granadi with more speed, and Granadi will overtake due to the gear loss there from Spark. Whoa. And it will be maybe for third position as well. Ooh, Massa will also get the third place here, so it will be the victory for Big, and this is track points.
I think you guys can applaud Spark in the chat, because really that was some great resilience. Massa looked to try and eat him alive in the final transfer, but in the end, Spark just had 1 or 2 Ks extra that allowed him to maintain that second place for just 24 milliseconds, although this time he will go over center just like he did in the first round, and will be leaving his teammate all on his own to try and enforce a draw. Right now they're going toe-to-toe with Granadi, Wizzy. Let's see the no-slide application. No, they're not going for the no-slide this time around. Interesting.
And Spark also with a respawn here, and this is bad news for Seoul Esports, because Wizzy needs to get that first position to force another round here, and then they need to get an ace, which didn't happen all so much here for Spark and Wizzy, and will be very hard. Guys, keep in mind, Spark just subbed in for Neil, who had to, I think, short-term go to the office or something like that. So Spark hasn't played those maps competitively like all season long, and it's still a great showing for him. He still puts in everything that he has, but it's like you play against Massa and Granadi, like, what can you do? Like, it's like you have to go out of your comfort zone. Beating those times is incredibly hard, and well, with that ace, Big is gonna win map number 2 as well.
I hate having to do that every time now and then, that we have to do the comparison. When you're playing against some of the best players in the world, sometimes more often than not, you have to Overdrive in order to get close to them. But in this case, yeah, you're just more prone for mistakes, and that just happened for Seoul, who lose that map 11-4. I think the final scoreline was on France. As we go on to USA, the third map of the Elite Cup winter season, the second Seoul pick, and now, well, Spark, as you said, he's really putting in a great showing. He's definitely not here to make up numbers, but he will be needing to try and see if he can pull something amazing on this map. Spark currently has a median of 104.1, a PB in the 103s though, 0.216 for the Indian in match. PB in match, of course. In terms of PBs overall, he is in the 0.0s at 0.033.
Yeah, 0.033 here. That is definitely not a bad time, but Big is also no stranger to bad times on this map here as well. I mean, they're very close to Wizzy as well. Wizzy has a 0.5, Masa has a 0.5 as well, and then Granati with a 0.4 being a bit faster. So that is something to consider here. And we have a small warm-up, and this is the second pick for Seoul Esports. And let's take a look what if this one is working out wonders. Masa and Granati looked very strong, but of course there were some mistakes here and there that have happened.
Yeah, indeed, there were some mistakes here and there that have happened, and yeah, like for instance, the dirt flick can be one where you can be mistake prone. A few no slides have happened in the identity. We've seen a couple of quarter pipe fails as well. There's a lot of stuff that can go wrong. And just taking a look at Wizzy's stats in match, he drove a 102.769. That is a very nice time, and also pretty competent. Although Masa and Granati both a 0.617 time. Driven exact same personal best in match. Wizzy will need to kind of jump up a bit, especially in the medium department, because he currently sits on a 103.6 and a 30.3% last place rate. As we go live with the first round on this third map of the series, let's go on to the quarter pipes.
Yeah, let's go to the quarter pipes here, as it is Masa with a great sector there. Spark still finding himself in there, so that is a great showing from Seoul Esports. And I think Spark also barely missed out on the Elite Cup Division 1 on this map. If I recall it correctly, he didn't make it into Division 1 so far. Of course, he was 65th last week on Germany, but yeah, he still needs to find his debut in there. And I think he can run deep into that, because he has shown some great performances all along, and it is Masa and Granati in first and second, but Granati with a weird slide there.
And a good opportunity right now for Seoul to try and get the draw, but we get a very significant clip for Spark, which is going to be leaving him down in fourth as Granati tries to take advantage of that, but Spark tries to make it. Oh no! Well, that's the thing, trying to overcompensate for a mistake you make earlier on in the identity. We tried to go for a bit of a later setup on the way into the final corner, but then all of a sudden, just right the crest and like, oh no, we're trying to... Colin McRae moment incoming, and we just fly off the map, forcing his to respawn. It won't be a point on the board for Seoul, but could have been so much more.
Yeah, it could have been indeed much more here for either of those teams. I mean, Seoul still getting 1 point out of it. Big with 2 points now, finding themselves in the lead. But, I mean, it's still a good map. A good start again from Seoul Esports. They're really pushing it, whereas Granati and Masa going a bit safer here. And this might be the play, just capitalizing from mistakes, playing the format, playing the team correctly. But right now, this is not working out. This could be the ace for Seoul Esports, because Masa with no speed in there as well. Granati is also quite far behind. Spark and Wizzy, they just need to survive the ending, and we could see the ace. This could be so cool. They could go into the lead.
They just need to hit their marks, go from A to B, not let the pressure get to them, not let that incentive of a gap get the best of them, as we see Wizzy go a little bit haywire, and now Granati looking to try and spoil the party for Team Seoul, but no, Spark,
oh no.
The dreaded finish gate hits once again, as we see Granati's great comeback into the final sector and into the final corner to take second place, and then Spark trying to go for the lead, but just ends up sliding wide on the plastic. And like many
so
behind him in Division 1, like Binks and Epos that come to mind first, hits the finish gate, doesn't get the trigger. Ouch.
Yeah, that's so unfortunate here. That is an ouch moment indeed, as we now have a good start from Wizzy again. And yeah, it could have been again. It could have been the ace, but it was the victory for Big instead. And now Granadi with a mistake. So similar situation, only that we have Spark also, who has been making that mistake in that round. Now is on third position, but Massa has been failing this part a bit beforehand. But now they also know like even 1 point would be good for Big, right? They would not significantly lose their lead so much, and they can again capitalize from mistakes. But let's see what the ending has to offer, because Massa comes so much closer, and Wizzy with a mistake doesn't have to respawn though, but this allows Granadi to also come closer. Will it be enough for Granadi to overtake? The answer is a no. So it will be a draw.
Yeah, the thing is, Wizzy went way aggressive on the entry into the identity there. That first drift, he went in way too shallow, way too far on the inside, and thus had the left front clip on the inside of the helper, and even the junction between the helper and the rest of the row, which kind of prompted that very significant slowdown, and also the car to kind of pop a wheelie as well, allowing Massa to thus take that round win and also take the draw to effect and avoid Big from losing any kind of an advantage as we go into the next round. And Seoul still looking pretty in all things considered, only 2 points down on their secondary map pick, and right now Wizzy will be leading, going toe-to-toe against Granadi into the dirt of checkpoint number 5, and Spark is also looking pretty as well.
Yeah, Spark with a great start here as well. Everybody within 0.2 of a second here. So this is definitely not looking too bad, as you can see here. And it is Wizzy with a commanding lead here, but this could dwindle away, but he gets away with it. I thought for a second that he would crash there, but it wasn't meant to be, to go into the wall. And now Wizzy didn't get a good slide there before, but now he fights back, doesn't make a mistake. It's so important to just stay ahead of Massa here and maybe to come closer to Granadi in this round. But who's going to win this round? It will be Granadi, not staying ahead. Wizzy with an insane risk there and staying in the lead, claiming the draw.
Trying to avoid the clip as much as he can, goes way wide on the plastic, nearly pulled the same mistake that Spark did in hitting the finish gate. He would have gotten the trigger, but that's a little delay between getting the trigger and hitting the gate might have just been enough for Granadi to move into the lead, but it was not meant to be, and thus Seoul still remains just 2 points adrift as we go into the next round. And the quarter pipe, again, beware of how you land into this quarter pipe, and a little bit of a wiggle to try and get the car to hook back up as the tires go back up to temperature. It will be Wizzy leading once again, and Spark going toe-to-toe with Granadi in the dirt of checkpoint 5 again.
Yeah, so Spark with a very good showing on this map, but I mean, it can definitely go to their favor, and this would be so cool to see, like just seeing that they can perform good against the top 3 player teams, and maybe giving them an outlook and motivation into Division 2 for the next splits, right? Where they can definitely like be worthy opponents, especially on a map like this where they're performing very, very nicely here, as we have a good round, only 0.2 of a second, and Massa will stay ahead. Spark with a PB, that is a great time, but it's again the victory for Big, no. Only 2 more points, and yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter, but just being stuck on the scaffolding like this is always painful.
Yeah, the girder / scaffolding, really a killer. And also, once again, finish gate gets full stopic, doesn't get the trigger. But how about Spark with that personal best? And for the first time, he will be dipping into the 102s. It's a .987. A very, very strong showing from Spark here in that round as Big hits match point. Attempt number 1 here on this round of USA. We're going to go once again into the quarter pipes in what may or may not be the final time, depending on the outcome of this round, really, as we see Spark at the tail end of the field, and it will be Granadi exiting in the lead at the end of the first 4 checkpoints.
Yeah, so they just need to find 2 more points here. So, I mean, they're 3 points away. Even 3 victories would not be enough at this pace. So they need to find an ace in some of those rounds. And now we take a look onto this dirt flick here as well. Wizzy out, and Granadi and Massa in first and second. I think it's game over.
It will be game over indeed, as we see Granadi and Massa take the identity as nothing more than a lap of honor, really, at this stage of the game, as we see Granadi just kind of wavering from right to left and allowing Massa to take the lead away from him. Can Spark try to catch back up? The answer is a no.
Granadi.
And, Granadi doesn't get the trigger. And Spark went too far away as well on the scaffolding. It will be the ace, though, for the blue side. 11-5 on USA, 3-0 overall, and with that, Big will be finishing the season in second place in the Division 1 standings here on Overdrive, courtesy of a better map difference compared to AG Global, but will still remain behind Pack B on map diff for just 2 points of a delta. So Carl Impact will be seed 1, Bing Singwen will be down to seed 3, and Big will be up into seed number 2. As for seed 4, well, there's still 2 matches to play for during the weekend, and you have to wait until those because they have a lot of implications. We'll be getting the standings up for you in a few moments, but yeah, all in all, whilst, yeah, the inevitable happened, kudos to Spark for essentially a last-minute super sub performance, and honestly, with the really promising rounds, I think you should still watch out for him to continue climbing up the ladder.
I agree. That was a very good showing there from Spark, and especially on USA, it looked very potent, and he had some good rounds on France as well. So you love to see that, and I hope that he will be playing a little bit more next season in Division 2. Of course, a bit of a bittersweet taste here because Seoul Esports ending up the season 0-9. Yeah, it didn't really go their way, but we had a lot of teams that were in that regard.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to be on the receiving end of that for sure. Whenever you're someone like Wizzy or Neil or Spark looking to put their absolute best forward, and unfortunately it did not pay off. So I'm just taking a look at the updated standings that we're going to get you up the screen on a few seconds. In fact, there they are, right on cue. It will be Pack B, of course, the overall, well, Division 1 winners in the regular season. All Gamers currently in second and Big in third. That will not longer be correct. It will be Big moving up to second place with an extra 3 map wins compared to AG Global. VP Neon, Cook, and Genji Weibo from 4th to 6th, still in contention for that 4th and final spot in the playoffs. Orglis down in 7th, Foot down in 8th, 9th place for Navi, and with their last game, Seoul confirmed in last position. 4 map wins over the course of their season. They will have to kind of take away some silver linings with that. Some flashes of performance, just it did not click at all, and also a bit of a time crunch with the sort of traffic jam of events that we had on Trackmania in this early part of the year. Might have had a part to play into that as well.
Yeah, that is for sure there, but we still have 2 matches to come, I think, in Division 1. It is Orglas versus Virtus Pro or VPX Neon in that regard, and then Cook versus Genji Weibo also still playing. So those will be some awesome matches to still come up here to your screen, but I think they're going to happen all on Sunday, if my memory serves me correct.
Yeah, we do have 1 match confirmed on Sunday for 5 p.m. That will be the VP Neon versus Orglas game. The other match, we do not have a time confirmed just yet. We're keeping that situation and we're monitoring it. We propose, well, I guess ideally we would like to have that right after the other game is done, right? Because there is some very important implications here. If VP Neon win their match against Orglas, VP Neon is confirmed into the playoffs as seed 4. If they lose their match against Orglas, then it will be the winner between Genji Weibo or Team Cook that will get sent to the playoffs. So both matches have their own significance in the race to the Overdrive Split 1 playoffs. So we have to really monitor that, and we hope to be able to bring you both of those games live whenever they happen. As I'm so excited that I dropped my stylus down on the floor, but it's all good. You guys get the idea. Of course, make sure to mark the dates on May the 10th, 5 p.m. CST, of course, for the VP Neon game, and we hope to bring you, of course, the Genji Weibo and Cook game along that as well. And with that, I think it's going to be, well, we're slowly but surely about to wrap up. Any thoughts on the 2 games that we've seen today from Big, Kai?
I mean, it was my most favorite game, and then also a game that had a lot of potential. So the Big versus All Gamers Global was just so good to watch. It had everything, so many unique crashes, and then Big versus Seoul Esports was a great showing from a team that, yeah, sadly goes 0-9 in the season, because they could have definitely won some of those matches, but that just shows how incredibly stacked Division 1 is. But I'm very much looking forward to the weekend, also to like how this whole project is unfolding. I think it's a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to Split 2 and 3 as well. It will be very cool.
Yeah, both of these splits are going to be very cool, but also before Split 2 and 3, there's also a lot of other stuff happening in the first split. Of course, there is the last EMEA qualifier happening this weekend to determine the last 2 teams that will be through into the EMEA Continentals. Said Continentals will be happening on the 17th of May, and then after that, the final weekend of May. This is going to be where the finale of Split 1 happens in a couple of different parts. There is going to be the promo relegation match, where the bottom 4 of Division 2 have to fight against the top 4 of the Continentals for a spot in Division 2 in Split number 2. Then there is the Barrage, the match between Navi and Ragnarok to determine who gets to Div 1 and who gets to Div 2 for Split 2. And then, of course, the Division 1 playoffs that will be happening on May the 31st. We already have a date that we can confirm you, and this is where we will be seeing who will come away as Split 1 champion in Division 1. And with that, it's about time to wrap things up and close up shop for today. I've been Thomas Mengos, aka G-Geek, and I've been accompanied by the one and only Lucas Turbo, aka Kylofish. I'm pointing in the right sense of the camera. I get a bit confused sometimes, but you get the idea. From every one of us here at Overdrive, much love, be kind, stay safe, and see y'all very soon. Godspeed, people.
I need you, darling. Save me from myself. I need you, darling, darling. Save me from myself. I need you, darling. Won't you come in? Save me from myself. I need you, darling. Won't you come in? Save me from myself.